All right, guys, what's going on? It's me, Josh, as always, and I'm here with my friend Evan. Evan, say hello.
What's up, guys?
So, what we're talking about today is really something a lot of people don't really cover if you're younger, and we want to do this because we have a wide range of audiences here who are listening to these videos. So, we want to talk about something important to just making sure you guys are building your wealth properly and getting to a point where you are able to take advantage of the stock market, options trading, real estate, all of that. It's not who cares about today, who cares about this year. You want to think about the opportunities to make money in the market over time, just as a lot of people who've made a lot of money have. So, what we're going to talk about is this is Evan runs wealth management. I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to butcher it, so I won't even try to say it. But he's good with people's money. He does this for the people to make sure that they have money and that they'll always have it. He's not as douchey, but he's one of those Wall Street banker guys. So sorry, Evan. But it's you know, the point we're going to cover today and what we're going to talk about, because him and I we've gone back and forth about who could use this, who needs it, how a lot of people need it, they just don't know, and that's something for you guys. I want to make sure you guys you're seeing videos on trading. Oh, how do I do this strategy? How do I do this? It's great to know how to do it, but I've always stressed in every video, what are you going to do after it? How are you going to make sure you keep your money? How are you going to make sure that you are going to set up a plan so that you could get into real estate and do all the other things that are going to get you to the level I'm sure all of you guys are shooting for? So he's going to explain this concept. He just shared it with me. I wanted to go over it with you guys, and we're going to run through some scenarios and kind of see where you guys fit in on this and understand too. If you don't meet any of these situations, it doesn't mean that it's hopeless for you and you're like, oh shit, I can't do that. Not at all. This should be your encouragement to know what to aim for, and this could help you guys set some goals to kill it. So this thing we're talking about is called fire, like starting a wildfire. Yes, no, that's bad. But ex- uh, let's go over it. What is it, Evan? What is fire? How does it work? What's the goal, the idea, everything about it?
So, FIRE, it's kind of getting its little 15 minutes of fame right now in the broad media, and it's an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And the idea around it is to set control on your expenses and save as much of your income as possible, right? So at
Um,
the end of the day, that's how you build wealth, right? You can hit a 2000% options trade and turn 50 bucks into 2 grand. Great. But like you said, what do you do with it after that? What's the plan to continually have success to build money, to
yeah,
build wealth?
and I think that even applies to a lot of the people. If you're getting into trading, you're looking on videos online, and like a lot of the pledges that we encountered in the past, most of them, if you're savvy enough to start trading, it seems like they already got into it. They have their money, and most people, they're already not spending as much as they make. And that's kind of the point, right?
Right. And that's the goal is if, high cost of living areas, California, Seattle, DC, New York, it's just expensive to live. But the benefit of that is you're more than likely going to have a heavy salary, right?
Mhm.
So the thing we're looking at now is if you're making 150 grand a year, 35 years old, which is fairly good. That's probably three times the national average, right?
Mhm.
So let's say 150 grand a year, um, but you're spending 75 grand after tax on your expenses. On your expenses, your mortgage, your car payments, you got kids, you got a wife who drains you dry, which is typically always the case. Um, so let's look at what that looks like, right? We'll look over here. The current scenario here is saying you're making a buck 50, spending 75K, and you're saving $7,500 a year, 5% of your income.
Okay, so go back up actually. Go
Okay.
back up to the first. Where did you input the 150,000?
It will show, I'll have to back out of this. Let me see. To be fair, this calculator is not going to really worry about income.
Okay.
It's goals based. So what you're going to see here is what I have input
As you
as
say.
the as your savings and as your expenses,
Awesome,
right?
awesome. And so for everybody watching this too, even if it is you don't make 150K a year, the key behind here is literally how much are you able to save every month and every year, and how much are you spending. That's pretty
Right,
simple. That's great. That's awesome.
exactly. Boiled it down as simple as possible. John is 35. He wants to retire at 50. He's going to live for 40 years. So he's got to find some way to make his money last for 40 years.
And then he
So
spends 75,000 a year.
7,500 a year,
Okay.
5% of his, which is, if we're honest, the average savings rate across all 401k plans in the country. If you
Wait,
can,
wait, wait. No, living expense is 75,000. That's how much he's
correct. That's how
spending.
much he's spending after
Okay.
tax. Sorry, I thought you said saving, not spending.
Okay, got it.
Right. So we're going to hit calculate, and we're just going to see how this plays out for John. Can he retire in 15 years, saving 7,500 bucks a year? What's everybody's guess? Not a chance in hell, right?
Damn. I
Like,
thought before, I thought that would be good because 7,500 bucks a year is like 680 bucks a month. I thought that'd be good, but then again, too, I guess to even put it into context, what we're talking about here is retirement, right? This
correct.
isn't saying you have enough money to get a down payment on a house, do this or do that. It's literally saying if you're not working or you reach a point in your life, can you have it so you don't have to work every day to pay for what you need to?
We're talking about FIRE, man. Financial independence, retire early.
And then, oh yeah,
So
so what's the exact metric behind that? I don't think we covered that.
uh, basic FIRE is 25 times your living expenses. So if Mr. John here is spending 75k a year, right? He's going to need 25. He's going to need 1.875 million liquid to be able to replicate that 75 grand a year forever, assuming a 4% withdrawal rate.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep. So that's
So
fire. Fire's 25 times. So it's having 25 times your expenses by time you hit retirement.
yeah, and you can set your retirement goal whenever you want it, right? John's 35. He wanted to retire in 15 years. So we're basically reverse engineering how much he has to save a year to hit that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at it, and you can play with some different metrics. If John just wants to save 7,500 bucks a year, well, he can't retire at 50. So let's see if we can retire at 65, just saving 7,500 a year. Survey says
I'm actually interested. 12%?
8%.
8%. All right, that's it's a little
A little
better.
better, but he's working 15 years longer.
So 15
Right?
years longer, saying the same amount, and it's just not going to work. He's not going to have that 1.8 million dollars he needs.
Not going to happen.
Just
So let's
zero.
see what we do. Zero it out. So let's drop this back to 50. And let's say John owns a business, so he can save all of his money in a pre-tax position, right? He's not paying taxes. He's 1099, or he's paying taxes, but he's creative with how he does it. And he can save the other, what do you think, half? Or you want to start lower than that?
Um, well, no, we'll start half because I think that's how I think people are. I think they either go big or go home. They're either saving a
Okay.
large portion or they're saving that small amount. So we'll say half, and then even then, I guess in this case too, why it was such a low probability is it fair to say that it's because John he's not really saving as much as he should, or he's spending a lot more than he should?
He's just not saving enough. And what you got to think of is when you hit retirement, you don't have your paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. You don't have commission checks coming in. You don't have tips coming in if you're a waiter. You've got to learn to live off your portfolio, right? So even if he's saving 7,500 bucks a year and it comes up to 3 or 400 grand, right, in 15 years, to pull 75 grand out of 400 grand, the money's going to run out in just a few years, right? So we've got to think about that withdrawal rate on a healthy balanced portfolio to come up with that 75k a year on living expenses. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. So let's say he can save the other 75 grand he's earning, or he got a second job. What do you think happens here, Josh?
So he's saving 75 grand a year now.
Yep. Going
Uh,
from 7,500 to 75k a year in savings.
I feel like it's gonna work. I feel like that's bank.
Let's see.
75 grand a year saved, man. If any of you guys could do that, and even then too, I know, I think for ooh,
Boom.
68%. So
Right?
that means almost what, a 7 in 10 chance that
He'll be able to retire at 50 and pull 75 grand out a year for the rest of his life and never have to work again.
yeah, and I even think now let's even change, I guess, how we say it because I think that's like when people retirement sounds so weird. I guess just the underlying concept that's being achieved is that he's gonna have a 70% chance of just being able to get 70 grand a year doing absolutely nothing, and that's it. He's not changing
Literally
anything
nothing.
with his lifestyle beyond just
Nope.
saving more aggressively, and that's going to allow him at one point to make money without ever working or doing anything.
100%. And the goal
Awesome.
we were shooting for was 1.8. If you look at current dollars, in 15 years, he's going to have 3.2. And again, this is a static. You're going to earn 9.4% a year, the S&P 500 historical average on the interest crediting rate. But, he's still $1.4 million over his goal.
And now, what's the future dollars? What's that 12 million?
So that's accounting for inflation, which we used here at 2.39.
Oh
So saying
shit!
the
He's actually going to be sitting on $12 million.
correct, and it's going to have the purchasing power of 3.2 in 15 years.
Awesome. See, so, and I guess that even gets to show as it comes down to when you come down to saving in the long run. I think a lot of people don't really factor in inflation and stuff like that. They don't really see how that is going to affect them. And I guess that's your job, I guess to go
Correct.
in for people and help them find the intricacies of what a lot of people would just overlook really, or it doesn't really seem, I hate doing those calculations, honestly. And I'm like, what the fuck? Especially when you buy like inflation. But
Yeah.
so
No,
then in
that's
this case, if you save 75,000 a year, you're you're gonna retire and you're gonna have a very comfortable retirement. You're gonna and that was only what, 15 years of saving too?
yeah, 15 years of savings. Now we're assuming, he's got 50 grand saved. But if you're saving 75 grand a year, the 50 grand you have saved to start doesn't really matter. Save early, save often, and that's how you really take advantage of compound interest.
So I have a few questions. I guess my first question is, and this I guess is just more applicable to like, me. I'm into, I'm setting up my retirement stuff differently. I do definitely think about it because of the wealth I've accumulated, and I have family and I have a lot of people that I have businesses, people I support, all that. But now, when do you start this? Like, what's an appropriate age to begin planning for retirement, setting up something like a fire, reaching out to you or anything like that?
As early as possible. I don't care if you're 16 and you have your own car detailing business. I don't care if you're 50 and have worked a corporate job as a corporate slave your entire life and have 400 grand in a 401k. It's never too late, but the earlier you start, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, I do. It actually reminds me of one of the books I read when I was like 15. When teaching myself stocks, it was a Jim Cramer book. I think he said, he's a big proponent of that and utilizing that. So, but you don't think then, I guess, because here's, I guess, the follow-up question with that. Like, take somebody who's like 18, 19, right? 20 even, and they're able to make money if they have money saved up. Would it make more sense to start setting up something like this or try to get a higher return chasing other alternatives?
And that's a loaded question. You always have to think of it in a workhorse racehorse mentality, right?
Mhm.
You want to set yourself up so you have a predictable amount of success with the majority of your money, and then try to chase the returns with a smaller amount. So set a plan in place, and if you have $10,000, make 70 or 80% of that work for you all the time with something that you know is a high probability of success, whether it's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, whatever the case may be, and then go start a business with 2 grand if you think that's what you're called to do, right?
Yeah.
Or
No, I
use
think I
two
guess
grand.
so. What you're saying is then start early as possible and go after other opportunities if and only if you have something already set up that's guaranteed and protected.
Correct.
Because I
Guaranteed in the sense that it's working for you, not in the sense of returns.
Okay, awesome. I think that makes sense, and I think too. I guess my answer to my own question would even just be like, I think it makes sense along the lines that even if you're like, okay, I got $2,000, $3,000 now, should I go put it into the stock market, options trading, or should I start putting money aside for my retirement when I'm like 12 years old? No, but it's, I think it's something that those are, even in general, those are two completely different activities when it comes to investing, because one is trying to generate investment, make money here and now, while one is literally that's just setting up your money for the future.
You're not going to get hurt by it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you can think back, say you would have started buying Amazon in 2008, right? I don't know how old you were there. I don't know if you're old enough to open an
No,
account.
I got Google. I got Google in 2007, 2008.
Right. So Amazon price 2007, 2008, what, $60 a share, $65 a share, right? So, I can't look at an 18-year-old kid right now and say, yeah, you shouldn't put your money in the market. It's too high. Like,
Yeah.
go find a stock you know and you love. It might be Starbucks. It might be Chegg. It might be anything like that. And who's to say that in 10 years that stock's not going from $60 to 2 grand a share?
Yeah.
Right? So your $1,000 goes to what, 15K?
Yeah, exactly. So, and now is that something they could do through a plan like this, like a retirement, or no?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
this, yeah, without a doubt. This is something that we can put together based on um, the individual's wants, goals, needs, desires. Somebody could want $4 million to buy, four Porsche 918 Spiders in 10 years. Let's put a plan together so at least you're not just throwing money in a bank at 1%, right? We put something cohesive together to accomplish that goal in 10 years, and hopefully at that point you got the money to do it.
Okay, that's awesome then. So that's just so it could be for whatever you want. Obviously, we're focusing on the safe route of retirement and having money, but the whole
Right.
idea here is this is now just more of a less active form of investing, but it's kind of just almost necessary for one's future. Is that too strong to put it like that?
No, I think it's fair. Less active is getting to the point of saying buy an index fund, you'll retire in 60 years, which is not really the goal here. We want to make money and take risks to make that money. So a little bit of active management would be necessary. Um, but a set it and forget it mentality of saving as much as possible as early as possible, yeah, I can get behind that.
All right, awesome. So now, how, I guess, based on what we looked at so far and gone through this, what steps can people take to reach fire, or I guess get there? Or what are the, I guess, key qualities that need to be focused on? I've came up just even listening to this. I have a few, but I want to hear from you as well too. What is just like the first most crucial important step?
Watch your expenses.
Yeah,
Number
that's
one.
what I was thinking.
You come out of college at 22, you get a $50,000 a year job. It's great to go out and party, and you slowly get raises, right? Well, what you don't want to do is have your expenses increase with your income.
Hmm.
If you can learn to live well beneath your means, then you're going to be much better off in the future because you've got, more discretionary income to either, buy more real estate, your credit's happier and healthier, you're not dumping yourself into debt just to keep up with the Joneses. Um, the second's going to be saving, right?
Hmm.
And one way to think about that is if I told you today, I was like, all right, man, I'm going to impose a 20% tax on you. It's the Evan tax.
Oh,
So every paycheck, you are going to give me 20% of what you have, right? What are you
okay.
going to say to that? You're going to say, go screw yourself, right?
Like,
Well,
yeah,
what if the federal government said that? You going to pay it?
they already do, bro.
Well, right, but 20% on top of what you're doing, like you're going to pay it, right?
Well,
You're going
I,
to have to.
I'm not going to answer.
Okay.
No,
The
well,
average,
yeah,
the
I would,
average
I
person,
would pay for it to the necessity that I had to. So
exactly.
if I could write it off somewhere, if I can account it out there, yeah, I'm gonna get away with it. But if
Feel
it's
you.
unavoidable, I will pay it. Yes.
Right. So why not take that 20%, impose that tax on yourself, and put it in an investment account for yourself? Same
Well,
mentality.
I'll play devil's advocate for you because I have bills to pay.
you're going to adjust your lifestyle. Do you really need to pay for Spotify Premium, Hulu Premium, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and your $1,400 a month Audi RS7 payment?
Well, the RS7 is dope, first of all. But let's talk about the other stuff you said. Like, if I cut down my Pandora, my Netflix, my I don't even know what other subscriptions people have, but everything you just said, if I do all of those and cut them out, is that $100 going to make a month going to really make a difference?
Is $100 into Amazon in 2008 going to make a difference?
Oh, you're that guy, huh?
No,
I,
but it's true. You know,
it, I guess, but now again, if you're talking to me and I'm someone, I'm paying my rent, the thought of 20% less, I'm already stressed out about it, and what I guess even then, sure, that was in I don't. What if I don't want to wait 10 years? Now what?
what if you don't want to wait 10 years for what?
Like you said Amazon in '08. Yeah, it's been 10 years since that happened. I'm not really thinking about 10 years from now. I'm thinking about next year, next month.
Yeah, so maybe that goes back to what you said earlier. Maybe this conversation helps them set goals, helps whoever's listening to this set goals, and instead of living that paycheck to paycheck mentality, they start to focus on, oh crap, there's more than, you know, who the Cowboys are playing next Sunday and how much I can put on the line, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it's, oh, I've got to actually live into my 50s, and unless I I do something about it now, I'm not going to have any money. So
In,
it's
that's
prioritizing your life as to what's really important. And I'm not knocking betting or football or anything. Like if that's your jam, man, go for it, right? But you can't get to the age of 50 and be pissed off because you didn't save any of your money when you're 35 because you wanted to bet on the Cowboys games.
interesting because that brings up a really big, for you guys listening to this, you see the devil's advocate, you see, okay, well, will that money make a difference? Yes, it will make a difference. Even, a little bit amount of money over a long amount of time will always make a huge difference. That's investing. But now, if the just simple as this, if you do not value the future, there's nothing we could tell you that is going to change that. If you're saying, well, I don't want to wait this long to get rich, well, do you want to just stay at the same place then over a long time? But pretty much there's no real answer to that to say, well, there's no rebuttal, there's no clever rebuttal, there's no fact or statistic except for the fact that you will just be prepared to take what the life choices you're making now are going to bring with it down the road, I guess.
Exactly. Personal responsibility. And, if you're comfortable with where you are and that, that's totally fine. But that's not really who we're speaking to here. We can make you money, but we can't make you want to make money.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I guess
that's got to come from you.
I'll even say it then now. Like, we've been here for probably like 10 minutes so far. I think anybody, if you're listening this far, you're probably in that category of people who want to probably make a difference with their future outcome with it. So I even think the main things to start focusing on that fire, because seeing this, the first time with Evan talking about it, I was just like, it's hard for people to save that much money. I don't think a lot of people make that much money and are able to save it. But as you see here, the only key that you have to getting this $12 million in 15 years, inflation adjusted, disclaimer, you have to be aware of how much you're spending and how much you're saving, because as you see in that first case, you could be making 150 grand a year, but if you only are saving 7 grand a year, somebody who makes 50 grand a year but is saving 50% of that, saving 25 grand a year, that person is going to have a better odds at retirement, right?
Let's see. So I'm just going to reduce the living expenses to 50% of 50 grand, 25K, right? And say they're saving 25K. So what we would do to get to fire there is you need 625 grand to live on, right? 25 times your annual expenses.
Let's go, baby. 20%, 20%.
Yeah. All you need 625 though, man. That's the number. This thing's nice, right?
Oh,
2.7 million.
80% success right there.
2.7 million.
Dude, in what?
And we're saying making 50 grand, spending 25 grand a year, and saving 25 grand a year. Now, we got to realize there's taxes coming out of that. There's social security tax, payroll tax. This is just straight line math, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be 25%, 25%, but this is for example purposes, right? But look at that. Like if you're making 50 grand a year and you
And
can get a side hustle.
the cash
Yeah,
you have at the end of it.
dude,
Holy, I like what you just said. This is literally a side hustle. You realize what you could do? You could be a real estate agent and close 2 deals a year, and that's it. You could go make a e-commerce store. You could,
2 grand a month.
damn,
2 grand a month if you put it aside for 15 years, let it be professionally managed to where it's protected upside, downside, sideways, every which way, right? And you get, what's our interest rate we're looking at here? Adjusted real return for inflation, 6.7% a year. That's a joke, bro,
yeah.
right?
But that's great. I'm glad people could see this because that's phenomenal. Like again, just to the point, you don't need to make that much. It's just all about what you could save. If you guys
Yep.
generate that ability to save money, side hustles, or even in general, even if you don't make a lot of money now, but are able to save that, what that means for the future, it's literally, it's kind of crazy to think about. On And this is an example where it's not anything unrealistic for somebody. I know it's difficult, but if you're making 50 grand, could save 25 grand, you're literally guaranteeing in 15 years you will be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, slight, you know, obviously take any guarantee in finances with a grain of salt, but even then, that's still, this is just the stats of it, right? This is just
Yeah,
the
this
math.
is the simple math behind it.
Wow, that's dope.
And
So we'll wrap it up there. We'll leave it with any final notes you want to add. And I guess I'll say too, if anybody here, if this stuff is intriguing to you, you're actually interested in it, you got questions, drop the questions below. If you're like, hey, I don't want to ask you a question on YouTube, I'm actually really been thinking about this, or I want to, and it's personal, shoot me an email, and I'll put you in touch with Evan. If it's something that you guys see, this is what Evan does. So he's a good friend of mine. So thank God I know him. But I'm sure, Evan, would you be willing to listen to anybody if they have any questions? If like any YouTube people from TTF hit you up?
oh yeah, of course. It's you only get out of this life what you put into it. I'm happy to help.
Amen. Well, so I guess what was there any like requirements you would say exist for people, or is it just anybody?
It's really anybody. And I think from just talking to all the brothers of the TTF, it's a mentality, right? You got to get in the mindset of doing that. So if I talk to an 18-year-old kid that's just getting started trying to figure things out, like, dude, I'm happy to help him. If you could
Awesome.
have that advice at 18 to get him started and going so that he can retire when he's 26, dude, heck yeah. Or if it's a 45, 50-year-old guy that's saying, hey, I've got money saved, but I don't know what to do right now. Like the market's choppy and toppy. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Awesome. And I think that even what you just said, it just kind of, so the key here, it's not really how much money you have, what you're doing or this, it's just getting exposure to the knowledge of how professional management of your money works, and just
Correct.
being exposed to that and knowing what you could take advantage of at any age of your life.
100%.
Awesome. Any closing thoughts?
Save early, save often.
Save early. He's like Smokey the Bear for savings. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Evan. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to reach out to Evan, hit me up. I'll put you in touch with him. Drop comments below. Let me know how you guys like these videos. I've been going back and forth with Evan on a bunch of stuff for retirement, and I think especially with how the market's looking, how the real estate market's looking with everything, I think it's definitely a topic we need to explore. So if you guys are interested in this and want to hear more about it, give me some positive affirmations, and we'll drop a few more of these. We got a lot more to talk about. Evan, thank you again, man. You know, your expertise and everything and what you do, I don't even think the people will understand it who are listening if they don't know, but thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. You have no idea.
Anytime. Happy to help.
All right, bro. I'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Catch you later.
Peace out.